All right, and we are live. Welcome everyone to the Rogue Hangout. My name is Alesha Drew, and today we've got myself and my partner John Paul here today. And for those of you that are watching this live, feel free to post your questions or comments below the video. And if you're watching the replay, you're also free to do that as well, as we will definitely get back to you. We'd love to hear your feedback as well. We're actually members of a community called the Empower Network, and we're here today to share with you. Basically, the topic today is going to be about the struggles and challenges that we all experience when we first get started online. A lot of the times, these things aren't spoken about. So today we wanted to share some ideas with you about what you can do to get started and how you can overcome these challenges and struggles, and also to even get you to completely not even go through them, which would be amazing, because there are a lot of things that do go on, and if you can actually avoid that, you will actually get towards your success a lot quicker. Share with you. Oh, there we go. Basically, the top. Sorry about that. Just checking the page here. So I'm going to get started with myself here. I got started online a couple of years ago, actually. I'm a professional dancer, and I was seeking out something that I could do that was automated, that was something I could do from anywhere in the world, whenever I wanted to, with whom I wanted to. So we found a system online, and previously to that I had never done anything to do with sales or marketing, anything whatsoever. So I was brand new to the industry, completely brand new. So I dove into all of the training, all of the education and the personal development around our community, and I loved it straight away. It actually fascinated me, this whole brand new world of online marketing that I didn't even know really existed. And in doing that, I'm someone who is a multitasker, and I found that in this industry that didn't actually serve me too well to begin with. And the reason why I say that is that I jumped into a whole bunch of marketing ideas and strategies all at the one time. Now the reason also for that is because we get thrown so many different strategies, so many different ideas when we jump online and we start our home-based business. There's so much noise out there online, and there's so many distractions that it can be really hard to keep your focus. And you often feel like you're doing income-producing activities, but you're often not. And at the end of the day, you'll find that sometimes you wouldn't have completed anything. You've dabbled in a whole bunch of different things throughout the day, but you've never actually completed one task. And that's what I was finding was happening with me. I was jumping into all sorts of strategies and marketing ideas that I wasn't actually getting one thing completed at a time, which is very, very, very common. So one of my pieces of advice on that is to take a look at only doing maybe 2 marketing strategies at first when you're within your home-based business. Don't jump into 10 of them at once. Find a couple that you like and that you want to master and stick with those 2. Don't jump into 10 different things. You know, try and stick with 2 and try and focus on 2 at the one time. And also, this is a big one. When you're doing your income-producing activities, switch off all of your social media. If you're someone that gets really distracted, Facebook is a huge one. Often we jump on Facebook and we scroll through and we refresh our Facebook, and there are a lot of marketing techniques that go along with Facebook, and we actually do some of those ourselves, but Facebook can be a massive distraction. And if that's you, you need to switch off your Facebook, switch off your email, switch off your Skype, switch off anything that can actually distract you from doing the income-producing activity that you're doing right there at that very moment. So you can actually focus on that one task that you're doing. I know that is a huge one. There's something else that I also do that's called the daily plan of action. And what you want to do is the night before when you go to bed is to write out a daily plan of action. We actually have a big whiteboard, and I'll put up my daily plan of action the night before so that when I get up in the morning, my brain is not scattered as to what I need to do. My brain is already set in the tasks that it needs to do for the day. So you also want to, when you do that, you want to time block these steps. You don't want to just write down a whole bunch of different things without actually time blocking everything that you're doing. And if you go over the time, that's okay, but you want to stick to some sort of time block, which will help you throughout the day. And you want to prioritize these as well, from the most important to the least important, so that you get the most important things done first. And if there's things at the end of the day that aren't so important, it's okay if they didn't get done, and you'll put them on the list for the next day. So that basically stops your brain from floating around and being scattered. Scattered is the best word for it, because that's how I felt for a long time. I was too busy looking at this strategy and that strategy, and I can do this and I can do that, and because I thought I was a multitasker, I thought it was actually serving me well, but then I actually identified the issue and realized that it wasn't. So I decided to stick to a couple of strategies and just focus on those and block out the noise, and you know, have my daily plan of action every day with time blocked, and that actually really helped alleviate majority of that. And also one more thing is to make sure you have breaks in there. Don't go all day without taking a break. Your brain needs to have a break for at least, you know, 30 minutes or an hour, or in between little sets, like a few minutes between different tasks. So as well, and you know, you want to make sure that it's fun. What you're doing is fun. You don't want it to be this big, hard, long slog. You know, working at home for yourself is supposed to be fun. So make sure what you're doing is actually fun, and that you actually enjoy it as well. So yeah, I think they're my main tips to start off with, from what I've experienced so far. And you know, when I learned these things quickly. So if you're just getting started, or you're thinking about getting started in a home-based business, you know, think about all the things that I've just mentioned, and you'll really get a head start with your business in staying focused and not getting scattered. So yeah, with that being said, I'll throw it over to John Paul here and see what ideas you have on this subject. Take it away.
Yeah. Well, guys, you know, thanks for coming. Number one, you know, everybody that's on the Hangout today that's, you know, watching as well, I want to thank you guys right now for being here. You know, one of the things at the beginning, I know that when I first got online, and very similar to what Alesha was saying, was that how my focus was really all over the map. You know, I'd be over here looking at this, and then 2 minutes later I had this going on. Then I was getting an invite from everybody else. You know, you know, you got to have this hangout. You got to be on this webinar. You got to be doing this. You got to be doing that. And finally, the only thing that got me in the right direction was actually taking all that noise as it was going on, and just shutting it all out, tuning it all out 100%. And that's the only thing that really set me on the right path, was because I had to turn around real quickly and realize that, you know, what those income-producing activities are, what they really are, and identifying them. You know, one of our mentors and friends told us one time to go ahead and just take a book, like a notepad, just take a legal pad and write down every day, from the time you get up till the time you go to bed. Do that for 3 days on exactly what you're doing in your business. You know, everything. Like, you know, now I'm showering, like really just micromanage it down. And then you'll see exactly where you're bleeding out, and, you know, especially for your business. And then you'll realize, you know, all those areas that you have that you can improve on, you know. And it's really good to get a road. If you know that you're here, it's an easy way to turn back around and say, okay, I'm going over here. You know, that really, that's something that can really help you out a lot. You know, at least it did for me. And sometimes it's still good to go back through that exercise and continue to go through that and do that again. You know, another thing too is with your business, we've been having meetup groups lately here locally in our city, and we've been meeting up with a lot of local entrepreneurs, just sharing some ideas and some concepts and strategizing with people with their business as well, and really just building some relationships and doing some old school networking in a way. And it's really been fulfilling. But the one thing that we've noticed is how scattered people really are and how much there is a lack of clarity in the market space. When people say that they're, I'm going to use my floating quotes here, but people say they're entrepreneurs, they have that vision of different pots, so to speak. They've got their one hand over here doing this, but then they have this great idea of doing this as well. But then when you actually see them talk about their business and what it actually is that they do, there's no clarity at all on what it is that they're doing. And that was eye-opening to me to see it firsthand, people about their business, when they don't even know exactly what their business is. They have no idea. Like, they have it conceptually floating around in their head, and they've never really put pen to paper or got that out of their mouth in a structured way. And that was, seeing someone go through that was a pretty eye-opening experience, because I realized at the beginning, well, heck, that's where I was at. That was me looking back, less than 2 years ago. That was me at first. Yes, I have some college background on some of it as well too, and some of the things I learned there don't even apply to what I'm doing in the online world. It doesn't even apply. What really does apply was getting clarity on that vision. So having my main vision of what my business looks like, who my ideal customer is, and really narrowing that down, like who my perfect customer was. And actually it turned out to be me. I am my own perfect customer. And then realizing, well, how do I relate to myself? That was the biggest breakthrough, that one of the biggest breakthroughs we had at the beginning. And it was between being scattered and unfocused. We had to learn to focus on three major things. And for online business, it was creating traffic, capturing leads, and converting sales, the 3 C's of marketing. And those were, it's a simple idea when you first hear about it, about creating traffic, capturing leads, converting sales. But implementing that is something totally different. So, getting back to anybody that is really struggling with that, having that structured outcome of where you're going and your clarity on everything. I have a bunch of notes here. That's why I'm looking away and just referencing some of this. A lot of it is, what does your business look like when you're actually done? Like when you get there, or you're on your way. What is it that's going to make it look like you're actually on your way to that success? What does it look like 90 days from now? What kind of evidence do you have that you're actually going to be on the correct path towards it? And then, furthermore, a lot of people, they have like this immediate outcome if they want some money in their life. So, money's grand and money's great. You can do a lot of good things with it. And you can really become attached to not having it at the beginning. If you don't have it, if your business is, just getting off the ground and you're out there going, man, I just don't realize why Bob over here doesn't want to join my business. And you're like, well, shit, Bob, why aren't you, what exactly is it that you came here to look for me that I couldn't deliver to you? And then you had to realize that it actually wasn't me at all. It was Bob. I didn't jive with Bob. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go out and find some John Pauls that are out there in the world, and those are the people that I'm going to meld with. That's who my business is for. And then I had to realize that I had to be okay with it. I can't serve everybody. And at the beginning of starting your business as well, that's something that you might want to really take a good hard look at, is that you will not be able to please everybody. You won't be able to please everybody in your business all the time. It's just like as in life. You can't walk around and please everybody. Having the Mother Teresa attitude in business is a grand idea, but it doesn't work very good. It doesn't get you very far. And I'm telling you that from experience is why I'm saying that, because at the beginning I wanted to really, we all say that, we want freedom for everybody. We want to help the world. Great. Grand. But if you're not making any money within your business, all your the money is a resource to free up your time so you can actually invest your time into other endeavors. things that you like. You can actually share your time with your family now. You can get all those things back. Well, you know, if you're not making money, you're not going to go very. You're gonna get burnt out real fast on it. But it's also going back to it and saying, okay, well, I'm okay with where I'm at. You know, a lot of times too is realizing that what phase you're at within your business as well too. You know, we've always been told that the first, getting to the first, $10,000 a month mark is sometimes the hardest part of business that you'll ever go through, and it's the grind phase. And realizing that you're in that grind phase, and then just accepting that you're where you're at is gonna help you on that path. It's there was a loud motorcycle that just drove by, but realizing exactly where you're at in your business is what's gonna help you, I guess, draw your own map to get you towards where you're going to go, to where your business is going to go. And I think that clarity and that certainty of your vision as well, too, once you have it clear in your mind, and you can actually, you've written it out, and I mean write it all out, and that would let those ideas flow. And if you're not really a good writer, or you can't type fast, grab your iPhone. I mean, there's a voice recording app somewhere on there. They're on there somewhere. Yeah, voice memos. If you got an iPhone, it's called voice memos. Use the voice memos. If you're driving down the road and you get some great idea, record it into a voice memo and then reference it later on. Put some headphones in, type it out, write it out. That way you don't lose your ideas. Sometimes the best ideas will hit you in just the middle of nowhere, and if you don't get it out and write it down or get it recorded somehow, you're gonna lose it. And that's what I used to do a lot too at the beginning, was I would lose a lot of my ideas because I'd be in the middle of driving or just doing something else, and I don't really know why those ideas come to you in the times that they do. It's almost like your subconscious mind is just open at certain points, and all of a sudden I would lose it because I wouldn't get it wrote down. Well, part of the whole vision for our business actually started before I actually went online. So the vision that I had for our company, it actually started, like, I had it before I went online, and I went online to find something that could actually fulfill that vision for the business. Whenever we started Mavericks Lifestyles, I had the vision for it, months before I went online, and then finally when I realized that I needed tools and resources to step into my vision, and that's where I found, Empower Network, and I found some of the resources there, and I found the training that I needed. And that's why a lot of times, when we went online and we got the products and the education that we needed, because I realized real fast that even though I was college educated, even though I have a degree, that degree was useless for what I was doing. I mean, there's some very, very, very small pieces of what I went for, which was business administration and entrepreneurship. Well, business administration is actually it's all corporate stuff. It's structuring this big, I want to say pyramid, because it kind of is the tiered way of doing things. And for doing business from home, you can still implement a few of those things, but most of it is the other aspect of it. It's the back end stuff, the structure with the LLCs and all the taxes and things like that. The crap that most people at the beginning, they don't talk about and they don't go through, and it comes back to bite them in the butt. So, but all those things that I got from my degree, I couldn't put into realization within my business. It wouldn't help me get my vision off the ground. It wouldn't really truly allow me to help people. So I remember the day that I actually took my degree and I crumbled it all up and threw it away. Because really, any job interview I ever went on, I never had anybody ask me to bring my degree. Any time I talked to anybody, no one ever asked me about where I graduated from, what my degree was, what my scope of, I guess, professionalism was. It was never asked at all. And to this day, it's still never been asked in any interview I've been on, and it was always amazing to me, because when you go through a job interview, that's the best that person will ever see me at. That, at least in their eyes, that interview is your time to shine, so to speak. So that's the best that they'll ever see me at. And one of those things was I realized was that that degree doesn't make me the best of me. It's something that it's not. It had nothing to do with actually who I was as a person. Really, it was okay. I went and I got some information, and I got it downloaded into my brain, and I took a couple of tests. Actually, too many tests on basic stuff. Do you know how to write English? Yeah, I took 4 English classes for stuff that I don't really know how many times I have to actually reference a certain way in a reference somebody else's work in a certain way. I had to take 4 classes to know how to actually reference somebody in a paper. That's pretty much what most of it was just how do you give reference to other places. Well, online I can do that really fast. Hey, I found this information over here. Here's a link to Bob Smith. I like Bob's article. This is what it was. But there's no set way that says that you have to identify it in this manner. It isn't. It's not there. So that's where a lot of my frustrations happened at the beginning. Was I realized that I had my degree that was useless. So I crumpled it up, threw it away. That was actually a really good feeling when I did that. I probably should have made a video out of it, because at the time when I threw it away, I was half tempted to light it on fire, but I don't smoke or anything, so I didn't have anything to light it on fire with, or I would have. Looking back a few years to where I'm at now, yeah, I actually still work in a retail environment every day, and well, not every day, but I mean, throughout the week, I work in a retail environment and leading a sales team in traditional retail sales. And what's amazing to me is the struggle that I had at the beginning of going from an actual retail sales environment over to an online sales environment. I actually had a really difficult time with it, because, I mean, to toot my own horn a little bit, I had sold over $2 million worth of product in a very short amount of time for a company. And selling over $2 million of product in retail within 4 years, when you're talking average sales anywhere from $75 to $120 on average sales per sale, that's actually a lot of damn sales. And the amount of time that I did it in was actually really, really small. But then I realized what I took home from it was actually really, really small in comparison as well. So that's where I realized that, yes, there had to be a better way. Now, I actually really love the marketplace that I'm in. I do motorcycle accessories sales is what I'm in, so parts and accessories. And I actually love the field that I'm in. I love giving back to, whenever a family comes in and I get to get them geared up from head to toe. I really like that. Really get a lot out of educating people with certain things, and knowing that people are safe, and some of the, getting people fitted right for certain products when you're talking on a motorcycle. Those are things that can save people's lives. And when I was younger, I had an injury that hurt me as well, and actually my younger brother, Sean, he actually had an injury that was really bad too. He actually really messed up his back really bad as well. When my younger brother, he was actually, he did some things as a kid that sent him away for a little bit of time, and he was lucky he wasn't tried as an adult on some of this stuff, but he made some bad choices. And while he was sent away, I actually got hurt really bad too while he was away, and he never got to really see me go through some of this stuff. And it's something where now, as when we're older, we realize that we actually have this common bond of how an injury helps us bond, because we both had pretty much the same injury where we hurt our backs, and we both go through a lot of pain because of it. We'll have a lot of upper back pain, some shoulder pain. I think my brother actually gets some nerve pain that goes shooting up into the back of his head sometimes and down to his feet because of it. But that's why I actually still stay in my field that I'm in, because I actually still love it. I love giving back to people and knowing that people don't ever have to have if I can prevent someone from having the same accident I had, that's why I do what I do. Well, getting back to sales though, from being in a sales environment every single day in retail sales and making that transition online, it was hard, because I realized that in retail sales, it's a destination location. People are coming to you specifically for one product, and it's actually the same thing online, but it took me a long time to realize that, because online, when someone's coming to you, like they'll come to your capture page or your squeeze page, they'll see some of the information you're about. As long as you keep that information congruent, If they come to your page and say, I want to know exactly about this topic here, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to deliver about this topic here, but then you send them an email that comes into their inbox, and it's nothing related to that at all, you will lose them forever. And you see that a lot with a lot of people online, is people are not congruent with their message. And that was one of the big things that happened, because you're going to see a lot of people out there tell you, okay, you can do it this way, send this email so many days later, then send this one, then send this one, then send this one, But the reality of it is how do you sell online without feeling like a scumbag? How do you sell online without, feeling like you're trading your soul in? How do you sell online without feeling like you're doing something dirty and unethical? Well, just be you. And don't listen to all that other noise out there, because when you attract someone to you, to your business, let them be attracted to you. Let them be attracted to your personality. Don't go out there and just change it all up. And sometimes you're going to get a lot of information out there that from people, and maybe some of the quote-unquote gurus that might tell you to do things a certain way. You don't have to do it any certain way. You do it whatever suits your needs, and that's it. A lot of times at the beginning, it's building a good foundation, it's testing, it's tweaking, and having things inside your business that allow you to test, tweak, and track, and then do it again, that's what's really going to help you out as well. But just be yourself. Don't change into, you don't have to change into Tony Robbins. You don't have to change into Bob Proctor. Yes, you don't have to change into Frank Kern anytime that you're trying to sell something. These are all people that are different people. They have their own following. Well, it's okay to have an influence from certain people, but to turn around and actually, you can model certain things and you can learn from certain people, but still don't lose track of who you are. Don't lose track of your vision that you have. And eventually, too, your vision that you have will actually turn into your mission. It'll actually make a small little shift over into what your mission is. Now, that's probably something that we should talk about on our next hangout, is exactly how to make that transition from your vision to your mission, and how that outcome becomes your mission of what you have. And it's an interesting shift that you'll go through, and that really will help you take that next step in your business. I know that with us in our business, it really helped us too. Another thing, I don't know, Alesha, how you doing over there?
Unmute myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing good. Just to piggyback off what you've just been saying, we talk about how I spoke about before about picking a couple of marketing strategies. You also reminded me of something else with when you said don't be a Bob Proctor or a Tony Robbins, just be yourself. In saying that, there's also something else online that a lot of people go through. They look to all the mentors online, and all of a sudden they're looking at 20 different people. Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Frank Kern. All of a sudden there's so many amazing mentors out there that they're looking at all of them at the same time. And I actually found I was doing this as well. Which is okay. It's great. You want to see who's out there and model and follow successful people. But when it comes down to your business and what you're doing with your business, you probably only want to follow 2 or 3 people intensely. 2 or 3 people that you really resonate with, that are getting the exact results that you want within your business. Now, you might want to model one person because they're great at selling. You might want to model somebody else because they're great at building teams. You might want to model somebody else because they make great videos. It just depends on what strategies you're wanting to implement into your business and who you resonate that you can model. We don't want to copy. We want to model exactly what these mentors are doing and bring that into your business. Because if you're looking at 20, 30 different people and how they do things, once again, you're going to become scattered because you're going to want to do all of those things at once, and you won't end up getting very much accomplished. So that was something else that I was thinking of that is something huge, you know. And when I identified this, I was like, oh, wow, you know, I really need to hone in on 2 or 3 people that I really resonate with myself and concentrate on, you know, looking at what they're doing, you know, watching their training, really getting immersed in the way that they think and the, you know, the success that they've had so I can model that for myself. You know, I think that's a huge one. And while I think of it, there's actually a book here that I'm reading right now. You can see that. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Now, I've only read the first 4 chapters, but I'm so excited about this book that I thought I would mention it on the Hangout today. You know, it's about turning simple disciplines into massive success and happiness. And I think this all ties into what we're talking about today. With everything that we've said, you actually have to have a strong discipline to do this. You know, there's no one on your back telling you to do anything within your home-based business. It's up to you. You know, you have to have the internal motivation every single day or 5 days a week or part-time, however you're doing your business, to get up and work on your business. You know, there's nobody that's going to, you know, fire you or, you know, yell at you if you're late or you don't get things done. It's actually up to you. And I find that's something huge within our industry because a lot of people don't have the internal motivation to, you know, get up every day and work on their business, which ties into our core desire. As John Paul mentioned before, you need to get clear on why you're doing this. And you will have that internal motivation every single day. And this book, you've really got to get yourself a copy of this book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. The first 5 chapters, you know, it talks about what successful people do on a daily basis that, you know, they're very small things and they're very easy things to do that most people won't do them. I don't know if you can wrap your head around that, but they're very simple things, easy things to do. They're so easy to do, but they're so easy not to do. And that's why a majority of people don't do them. And, you know, this also ties into the long-term vision of being clear, because these small things that you do every single day in your life and in your business are going to lead to the success down the road for you. And a lot of people don't see that. We live in a world today where people want results now. You know, people want to see the results right now. And that happens when we get online as well. People want the next get rich quick, you know, I'm going to be rich in 5 minutes if I just do this. And a lot of the times people will advertise their opportunity in that way, and that's not right because that's just simply not the case.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that a lot on that one because a lot of times, you know, when we first got started, everything's been marketed towards us as, you know, this is the next greatest thing that will actually, this is the next whiz bang product that's going to, you know, turn your life around in a matter of, you know, however many days or you know, you can make money now guaranteed. Oh, you know, I'm not going to guarantee anything at all. And actually because of, you know, actually, I'm going to throw this one out here now. You know, we haven't really talked about incomes, but just in case we do talk about incomes or anything, you know, I am not guaranteeing anything at all. You can see some of our average earnings as well too. If you'd like to check out the information, what average sucks, but you can still do it. You can go to empowernetwork.com/income.php or just /income, and you can actually check out some of our average earnings. Now, I don't know why the FTC actually makes people throw that income disclosure out there like that because, like I said, average really does suck, and it's something that it drives me nuts all the time with the income disclaimers, and I'm just going to have to get over it, I guess, because if someone actually wants to go there and sit there and really break it down, you know, well, out of all these many people over here, how many people are actually successful? Well, Look at how many people are successful when they go to med school, and how many people go to college in America right now. Look at how many people, like, look at the dropout rate of it. Look at the success rate as well too, and also how many people actually have real jobs after they go to college. Well, there's the real rip-off right there. You know, as far as the Federal Trade Commission, they need to be regulating some of that stuff, because that's where the real problems, at least in America, are at. You know, you look at some other countries in the world, for example, Australia. You know, student debt here in America is a huge problem, and it's because college is just a business. It's actually not a true learning environment for like truly open-ended discussions, and really the philosophy on with humanity as a whole, and what our education is really going to do for us and everybody in the future. You know, look at how many people go to med school and are actually doctors. Look at how many people go to law school. I mean, good gosh, how many lawyers do we have in America right now? Just go Google that. I mean, it's some insane amount compared to other countries in the world. It's something that's something that'll boggle your mind, you know. But now I'm going on a little tangent here, so I'm going to get back to what Alesha was talking about, you know, about how doing those daily principles and things really can make. It's those little things and those subtle things in life that you choose to do. You know, she also said something as well, that, you know, no one's going to tell you when to wake up and when to work on your business. At the same time, no one's going to tell you when to come home from your current job or your current career path, and when to stay awake. Because a lot of times, if you're like me, you were working a really, really, you know, intense job where you're on your feet all day, and your interaction is go, 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 go. You know, you get your traditional half an hour for a lunch break, or, you know, your 10-minute break here or there, but you're on your feet all day, and it's a really labor-intensive job, or just physical job. Well, you're going to come home and just crash, and I was like that too. I just crashed hard. I would come home and she'd be talking to me, and I would just out. I mean, my body just shut down. It didn't matter what I was doing. You know, she could have just told me that we hit the lottery some days, and I was out. It wouldn't have made a difference to me. I was checked out. Well, it's okay if you have to come home and you have to take a nap. Do it. Take a 20-minute nap. Take an hour nap. Whatever it is. You know that your brain doesn't work right. Well, whenever you're extremely tired, well, change it. You know, take the steps necessary to put you into a successful way of learning, and do those things. Another one is you know, realize when you're being lazy in different ways. What I mean by that is, you know, we can really be busy and be lazy at the same time. You know, let's say that you have your traditional job where you're exchanging time for money. Well, you want to have some more money to put into your business for some advertising. So what will you do? Now you realize, okay, well, if I can just work a few more hours overtime this week or that week, or if I can just get this, well, what happens is you know, you start putting in all this extra time in your other job, and you're being intentionally lazy, it's subconsciously, because what you're doing, and you have to be aware of the decisions that you're making when you're making it, because you're making a conscious decision to actually not take the steps that you need to in your other business, because it's not taking those 2 extra hours of putting in the overtime at the other job. You know, you have to work smarter there as well. So if that means you have to go into your boss and you have to say, hey, I am valued at least this amount of money. I mean, my personal belief is that there's no amount of money printed for what I'm worth, and that's something I will always stick by. That's why, you know, yes, I have what keeps me going in my other career is a passion for helping people in what I do. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be there. I would not be in that field at all. And that's why, you know, align yourself with your passions and keep that passion going. You know, passion can only take you so far. The rest of it's going to be desire, drive, your determination, and your actions. Take action on stuff. You know, like Alesha was saying, shut Facebook off. Get all those distractions out of there. You know, realize when you're actually being lazy in different ways. You know, you can be a busy, lazy person. You know, I was like the king of busy, lazy. I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this, and I was doing that. I was doing so much stuff that when at the end of the day I realized, well, crap, I have really not been doing anything that's going to further my, like, it was actually further working on my fortune at all. It was not furthering my fortune, so to speak. It was actually hurting it more. What it was doing was it was driving a wedge between myself and Alesha. You know, yeah, we get this a lot. We'll get people say, "Oh, it's got to be really nice having, you know, your partner on board." Well, yes, it is, and sometimes it's also a curse because we know we see each of us at our strongest, and we also see each of us at our weakest, and it's hard sometimes to at the beginning it can be hard to you're very, very hard and critical of each other in a lot of ways. You know, as a couple, and even subconsciously, you could, like, someone could go read like one book one day and they could be on this path of like this mental enlightenment since it's the book that they read for the week, and they're feeling great. Well, unless I'm on that same book and I'm on the same chapter and the same page and had that same experience that somebody else had, I'm not going to be in the same realm of mental clarity or whatever it is that she's in. You know, and those are the things that at the beginning you got to realize that, number one, be okay with where your business at. But if you're working with a partner, be okay with where they're at. Accept them for who they are, with all their flaws and faults and everything. You know, realize that no one's ever going to be perfect. You know, realize, like, go back to why you were originally attracted to that person, and, you know, fall back in love with them again, because that's what will help you carry your business further if you're working with a couple. It's, you know, I want to say it's almost like that beginning part of the relationship where you just can't keep your hands off each other. You know, you can't. All you can think about is each other. You know, and that's what you have to reconnect with as well. And then also you have to reconnect with your business in the same way in that aspect. You know, when you made that first, if you bought a product or you joined a company as well too for education or anything, you have to reconnect with that moment that you swiped your credit card, you entered your numbers in there, and you made that purchase. You have to reconnect with that feeling of, okay, you know, yes, this is now something that's on the way towards my success, and you have to use the stuff that you paid for. Just use it. Go back through and actually use the stuff that you're paying money for. You know, if you're still working a job and you're making payments on this stuff when you've got a credit card debt because you paid for some of this stuff, well, darn it, you better get your butt in gear, because, you know, one thing that the rich love is interest. You know, because banks are making money off your interest. You know, that you have to look at that purchase that you made. What's the real cost of it? Exactly, what is that real cost? Well, add the interest into it, add all the payments and stuff into it. It can get costly if you don't hustle at the beginning. You know, you better be willing to hustle and put it in there. But getting back to working with a couple, you know, accept each other for being each other where you're at, and just know that even if you're at some other place, if you think that you're in this place, you know, or you're the one that puts in a lot more time than somebody else, it's okay. That it's perfectly okay, and be willing to just be comfortable. Well, I don't want to say be comfortable, because sometimes being comfortable can actually hurt your business in a different way. Kind of like once you get comfortable in a relationship, all of a sudden that's when you lose, like, interest and stuff. Same thing with your business. When you just become comfortable, I guess the word I'm looking for in your business is when things become easy, that's good. But when you become comfortable with, or you become complacent, I guess, with stagnation in your business, and okay with lack of no results, that's not something that you should be okay with. I just want to make sure that I'm clear on how I'm explaining it. You want to be okay with and comfortable with where your business is at. You know, the phase of which you're in. If you know that you're about ready to go through a growth phase in this way, and you have to spend X amount of money to do that, you know, for whether it's from a marketing or campaign or traffic, whatever it's for, you know, be okay with it, and also be okay with the result of if it doesn't work at the beginning. It's not going to always work. I mean, we don't always send out a magic email every day that all of a sudden gets back in, 50 sales right off the bat for it. We run ads that bomb all the time. I mean, we've got Facebook ads up that are just dogs. I mean, they're just bombing bad. I've got a couple other campaigns that are running on some other traffic sources that are just not doing good at all. I'm talking like, 300,000 people or 300,000 impressions with not one opt-in. That'll drive you mentally bonkers at first for a little bit. Well, at that point, what do? Well, just do it again. That's all you can do, is you can just wake up and do it again. And be okay with the result. Because, if you structure your business correctly at the beginning with actually putting the money that you make from your commissions and things like that back into it, at least setting that back into it, and you're disciplined with it as well, that will continue to work its way out. I mean, we're not ever going to tell anybody to go out and take your last money that you have for food and dump it into, traffic for your business. That's not the message that we're ever going to give anybody. But, but be okay with the things that you have to do for your business, and be okay with if it doesn't work out. Before you even click yes or send or anything, be okay that it might not work out. It might totally do nothing at all. And once you start just being okay with some of those things, and you're measuring your results, that's what will help you. That's what really did it for me on the back end. And Alesha, I don't know if you can tie into any of that at all, if you'd like to or not.
No. Yeah, definitely. Getting back to being an entrepreneur and actually having your own home-based business, getting back to what John Paul was saying just a little while ago, we have so many ideas, which is awesome. We have our weekly meetup group where we meet with like-minded people, because we like to surround ourselves with like-minded people. And there's so many ideas flowing, and it's really awesome to be around people that have amazing ideas and have dreams and have goals and are striving for those. And what you want to do is actually narrow those down to get clear on exactly what it is that you want. I think it was Steve Jobs said something like, I don't remember the quote, but he was talking about how, being successful, you need to say no to everything else but what you're doing. Say no to 1,000 other ideas, and you want to hone in on that one idea that you believe is going to take you to your success. It's great to have a lot of ideas, and you can always implement them later on, but at first you want to hone in on that one or two particular ideas. And that's what's so great about having meetups and connecting with people on a personal level, because people will see it from the outside, and they can give you some insight and some other ideas on how you could possibly implement that idea that you have. Because so many people out there, they'll have all these great ideas, but as John Paul mentioned before, I mean, you've got to take action on those ideas. And you've got to do it every single day within your business, And just getting back to this book that I mentioned before, I actually want to read you a little section of this book. Yeah, story time. That I've read over and over and over because it really resonated with me and allowed me to have a breakthrough. And before I read it, if there's anything that you hear us talk about, like traffic and opt-ins and, any terms, lead generation, any terms out there that you don't understand, it's okay. If you're looking to get started, it's okay. If you hear a term that you don't understand, don't fear that, and don't think to yourself, oh God, I don't understand what they're talking about, so I'd never be able to do this. That's what's so great about our community here, is that you can be anybody. You don't even have to have any kind of education whatsoever to do this. Within our products, we actually teach you how to do this. So if there are any words that you hear that sound a bit scary, you're like, oh God, I don't know what you mean by that, or what is an opt-in and what's a capture page. Don't worry, because this is what we actually teach you. And 2 years ago, I didn't know what that meant either. I had no idea. And here I am 2 years down the track, and, we run a successful business, and there's all these terms that I had no idea that I actually know now, because I dove into the education that we bought. I didn't just leave it on the shelf. I went to step 2. A lot of people get to step 1, they buy the product and they feel great. They're like, yeah, I did it. But that's only the first part. You've got to actually follow through and take action and go to step 2 and dive into those products. And then from there, actually implement it. I think it's the 80-20 rule. You're 20% learning and you're 80% income producing activities. That's usually how it goes, around 80-20. So to wrap that up, just don't get stressed out or confused when we talk about little terms that you may or may not understand as yet. So just getting back to this book, there's just this little paragraph I want to read you. It goes a little something like this. When you make the right choice, you don't see the results, at least not today. And that is a problem in our push-button, mouse-click, 24-hour news world. We expect to see results, and we expect to see them now. But that's not how success is built. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Progressive means success is a process, not a destination. It's something you experience gradually over time. Failure is just as gradual. In fact, the difference between success and failure is so subtle, you can't even see it or recognize it during the process. And here's how real success is built. By the time you get the feedback, the real work's already done. When you get to the point where everyone else can see your results, tell you what good choices you've made, notice your good fortune, slap you on the back and tell you how lucky you are, the critical slight edge choices you made are ancient history. And chances are, at the time you actually made those choices, nobody noticed but you. And even you wouldn't have noticed unless you understood the power of the slight edge. So, I mean, if you're watching this live, I want you to go back and listen to what I just said again during the replay. I want you to rewind it and listen to it a couple of times, 10 times if you need to really understand what's going on in what Jeff Olson just said. And it's all about having the slight edge, and I really do urge you to get a copy of this as soon as possible. It goes back to everybody wanting results and everybody wanting success now. Often people think that millionaires, they inherited it. They just had it easy. They were just lucky. I don't remember the percentage, but majority of them did not come from that. They came from nothing. They literally came from rock bottom. And it's often the case with many celebrities and famous people. They worked their butt off to get where they are right now. And just realized the screen was not on me that whole time. Too busy diving into my book there that I didn't change the focus. People have this perception that successful people just had it easy, and it really isn't like that for majority of people. And this goes back to what I said earlier about this book, how it's the things that you do each day that can be easy or not easy to do. And when you do those things each day, you get a result. People are like, oh, wow, that's awesome, and it makes you feel great. They didn't see the work that you put in. They didn't see the hours. They didn't see the weeks or the years of grind that you went through to get that result. They didn't see that. And you probably didn't see that too when you were going through it. you know, and often this is what happens, you know, in the health, the weight loss industry. There's a lot of products out there that I believe are very misleading, that tell you that you're going to lose weight within this short amount of time, and you know, because it's all about the quickest amount of time people can lose that weight, you know, which of course is what everybody wants, but in the reality, it takes time. And what happens is people don't follow through, they don't continue with that piece of information that they bought, that exercise schedule that they have, until they get the result they want. And even then, when they get the result they want, you have to continue to do that. You know, you just can't go through the insanity program and, you know, finish the program and you've gotten where you want to be, and then you stop exercising completely, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to end up back where you started, or worse. You need to continue some sort of exercise after that fact, or even do the program again if you want to. So that's the basis of that. You need to remember that success is a process. You know, I love this part here that he says, success is the progressive realization of a worthy cause. You know, progressive means success is a process. It's not a destination. And, you know, as I mentioned, people will not see that, and you have to have, at first, you have to have the internal motivation, the internal drive to continue on your quest every single day until you get to where you need to be. And then you'll have a new goal, a new outcome, and you'll strive towards that. You know, and that leads into what we're going to be talking about next week, about getting clear and having the vision within your business and within your life to lead you to the success that you desire. You know, we have to get clear. We have to get to the core desire of what we're doing. So I don't want any of you to think that this is easy at first. You know, there is a grind. Our mentor David Wood talks about this. Often people will come on board and, you know, they want to do what their mentor is doing. They want to skip the hard part. You know, they want to skip the grind. They want to skip the brutal part of getting started in the business and figuring things out. You know, and it's not that way. Okay, so I don't want any of you to think that this is some easy push button business, because it's not. You know, this is an actual business, and at the beginning, you know, there are going to be challenges and struggles, and that's what we do. We fail our way forward through our focus, through our daily plans of action, through our commitment, through our dedication, our focus on what we're doing, and not getting scattered, and remembering what our core desire, our vision, and getting clear on what it is that we want to do, and following through with those things on a daily basis, little by little over time. It's a process towards your success. And with that, I think we'll probably wrap it up pretty soon. If you've got any final words there, John Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, I think sorry, you're muted. Wait a second.
There we go. Good. No, you muted yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just thumbs up, thumbs down. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you know, I got lost inside story time. I'll be honest. Yeah, my focus was a little bit not there too much. But you know, with a lot of it, you know, the one thing that I took out of all that literature that you were sharing with us, what I took out of it was that knowing that sometimes when you're going through it, you don't even realize that you are going through it. And once you identify that you are, that's the big key. That's not really the secret sauce or anything, but just it will help you a lot. And if that's the one thing today that we can tell you, you know, is to identify where you're at, to get to where you're going. You know, when your GPS fires up in your car or anything, what does it do? Well, it triangulates out to like a couple different satellites, and it picks them all up. And then if it doesn't know where you're at, it can't tell you where you want to go. It can't give you the directions on where you want to go. So the same thing with your business, and you have to take all the information you have from outside, like everything, realize where exactly you're at, get clarity on that, and know. Then you can define your roadmap to where you're going to go, and that's what will help us. That's what can help you. And if that's the one thing you can take out of today's hangout, great. You know, a lot of the tools and information when it talks to, like, as far as like you know, lead generation, traffic, you know, creating traffic, capturing leads, converting sales. You know, there's so much stuff that we've learned over like the last 2 years. You know, well, the last 14 months that I would have never ever received if it wasn't for having that initial vision for wanting, like, for having a business from home. And when we created Mavericks Lifestyles, it was a way that we could turn around and actually have a group of individuals that wanted to do business in a way that actually does help people to have their own Maverick lifestyle. You know, the people that can actually live on their own accord. You know, like, when I mean that, I mean people that have always kind of been the rogues of the pack, the people that have, you know, like for myself, for example, I came from a really broken and busted family, and I was always a little bit different in the way that I thought about things, and I was always the one that was, you know, I always expected more out of myself, not out of others. Like, I always expected more out of myself, and I expected more for my family, and I just expected it. And when I say that, I mean that I knew that there was more to me just being a welder. I knew that there was more to working 60-hour work weeks to make 60 grand a year. I mean, I knew that there was more to it. When we say that there is a better way, there is a way better way out there to doing things. And that's why we wanted to create Mavericks Lifestyles, just to kind of have a home base for everybody that was thinking the same way that we were. And that's something where, you know, when we say that you can actually have your own economy, everybody has that right to do that. You know, there's no one that should be able to stifle anybody. I see sometimes homeless people on the street, and I think the only difference between them and me is just application of a little bit of knowledge. That's all it is. And also a conscious choice. They have a conscious choice to actually be there, and they've accepted that. I've made a conscious choice to take a different path, but it doesn't mean that I don't know what that's like. I mean, I was actually, when I said that I came from a broken home, I was actually kicked out of my own home by my mother whenever I was younger, and I was kicked out of a home right after I told her that I was going to be having a child. And I know what it means to literally be on the streets with nothing. And it's taken many, many, many years. Are things perfect in my life? Not by any means. Will they ever be? Maybe. They might. But I know what it means to be to feel like you have no control over a situation at first. But I also know what it means to rise against those things and those challenges and those obstacles and not settle for anything. You know, in business, you cannot settle for, almost like Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. You know, you have to be the best. You know, you have to surround yourself with the best. If you want to become a master of traffic, surround yourself with the person that is the master of traffic. If you want to surround yourself with selling to affluent people, you know, I would model after Dan Kennedy. If you want to talk about some influence on a different level, you can look at people like Dave Wood and Frank Kern. Granted, they're two different markets as far as what they both kind of focus on, but there's a lot of similarities in there. You know, you could actually model people like that, but those are the things that, you know, I never settled for anything, and I challenge everybody in their business: don't settle for like, even when you first go online, don't settle for anything less than excellence, because the people that are around you, it's your duty, your right, and your obligation to those people and to yourself to rise against that, because doing the saying of do the things for 5 years that most people won't, to live a lifestyle that most people can't live. That's true. That's all it really takes. Is it sacrifice? It might be, but it's a balance as well. It really is a balance of a lot of those things that don't lose track of the things that you love. That's who you are. But how do you incorporate all those things in life that you love, and how do you bridge it over to your business? That's a real key to it. But still challenge yourself to be excellent. Not be perfect. You're never going to be perfect, but be excellent. Challenge yourself to be excellent. How Alesha was talking about, sometimes people will start working out and everything, and they'll go through like, P90X or Insanity, and then they'll do it, and then they won't continue to do it. I'll raise my hand on that one. I was there. I mean, I did it, and then I didn't keep doing it. What happened? Well, I just went back to the same old way of the way that things were, and I knew the conscious decision that I was making, and that's where I talked about being busy and being lazy at the same time. That was me, So really, at the same time, did I settle for excellence? I didn't, and there's a big kicker right there, as identifying it. That's all it took was a simple ownership of the situation you're in. Just take ownership of it. And even if it is a situation, I wouldn't really even call it a situation. I'd just say where you're at, take ownership of it, and realize that you actually have more control over more stuff than you realize you do. And a lot of it is, yes, we can say outsourcing on a lot of things within your business that helps you. But surround yourself pay for the people that are good and stuff. If you want the best, pay for the people that are the best. If you know that it's going to take this amount of money, well, you have to ask yourself, how can I? The way of thinking, I can't afford that. Well, how can I afford that? What can I do right now? What kind of knowledge and information do I have right now that I could pass on, or what do I have to sell even? I mean, I look around my house and I've got all kinds of stuff that I never use I could sell, I mean, goodness sake, there's how many, I'm not saying go out there and pawn everything you have in your possession, but if that's what you got to do for your business, and if you got a flat screen TV in your house that you're never going to use, well, guess what? That is an idiot box if it's used in the wrong way. I mean, Alesha and I, what we'll do is we'll actually put on some of our training stuff onto our TV. That's the only time we really ever use it. And those are always, we'll use it to better ourselves, or yes, we'll use it when we're taking a break, and at the same time, then we'll go get out of the house, we'll get some sun on our bodies, we'll go talk to people. Just the simple act of when you're in an online environment for a business, the simple act of going and meeting up with actual people does wonders for you. Go do it and continue to do it. Keep your social network in place. And if you find yourself in a spot where there's a lot of people that are dragging you down around you, I can just tell you to run as far and as fast away from those people as possible, because they're not going to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up towards your vision. And if the people around you aren't, get new people. There's Alesha and I, we used to watch the show Grey's Anatomy, and it was something where. And this was before we kind of went online at all, before we had our business. But we don't watch much TV at all anymore. But there was one good thing that was in there. There was two characters. There was Christina and Meredith Grey, and they're friends. But there's one spot where they say, you're my person. Well, those are two people that support each other and lift each other up to always being better. And you got to find your people. You got to find your persons that are going to support you in doing that. And like, if you're the smartest person in the group of people that you need to find new people around you. Find a new group. That is 100% true. Always find people that will challenge you. Does it mean that you totally just dip out on the people before? No, it doesn't. It just means that you find a new group of people to start surrounding yourself with, to lift you up, to help you step into that vision for your business. And with that, that's pretty much all I really have. Also, if you're on the Hangout right now too, there's going to be a button underneath this video that says, I don't even know what the button even says right now. I haven't. See, that's how. I've been so wrapped up into the Hangout right now that I don't really even. No. Let me see what this it would actually say. I don't even know where it's at. I've got all my windows and stuff are open. I think it just says "Get started now" or something. But you can click on that link. Whatever link is the button underneath there.
Yeah, it says yes. I'd like to get started.
Yeah, it says yes. I'd like to get started. All right. Well, you can click on that link and get started. I mean, get started today. Join up today. Get the information that you need for your business, and we're going to be here for you. We're not going anywhere. We've planted our flag and we've hung our hat in certain areas, and this is one of them. We believe in the education that people can get. We believe in making people better. We believe that helping people identify their outcome and the tools and resources to get them there. How can they become top producers within any market, not just here, any business they have. That's what we're about. So click on the link below, get started today. Do it. Just actually get in, take action, and actually reach out to us as well. Reach out to Alesha, reach out to myself. You can find us both on Facebook. John Paul Argentino, that is I. You'll find Alesha Drew. Reach out to us. And I mean, I'm very easy to find on Facebook. Alesha is very easy to find as well too. Mine's very simple: Facebook.com/JPArgentino, and then yours is what? Facebook.com/Alesha Drew 7.
Alesha Drew 1.
Alesha Drew 1. Okay, Alesha Drew 1. So we're very easy to find on Facebook. But go ahead and click the link below. Get started today. And that's pretty much all I got, guys. I actually want to go get some lunch. I'm hungry.
All right. So, yeah, with that being said, guys, you can also leave any feedback or questions or comments below this video as well. And we will get back to you. As John Paul said, we are real people, and we want to interact with you and reach out to us, connect with us. And I do want to also leave you with this. Grab a copy of this book, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. You need to be reading every single day. Okay, reading 10 pages of a book every single day. Books like this, successful books, will change your life. That's one thing I can promise you. You need to be feeding your brain. Your brain needs to be washed with valuable, successful information from people that you want to model, that have gotten the results that you want. Many people don't pick up a book after they finish school, after they finish college, which is really sad. Leaders are readers. You need to be reading every single day. Find books out there that are going to help you get to the success that you want in your life. Fill your mind, fill your subconscious mind with the information needed to get to the success level that you need to in your life. So with that being said, click on the link below this video. You are never going to be ready. There's never going to be a better time to get started than now. If you're telling yourself, I'm not ready, you're going to always be telling yourself that. There is never a better time to get started than now. If you've watched this entire hangout and you're still with us, it's time to get started. Lock arms with us and we will get you going, and invest in yourself. Invest in your business and invest in your life to give you and your family the life that they deserve. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming out today, and we really appreciate you taking just over an hour of your time today to listen to this information, and we do hope that you've gained a lot of value out of it that you can take into your business today. And we look forward to having you on our hangout next week, where we're going to be talking about getting clear and getting clear on your vision within your business and your life to get you to the results that you need. So once again, click on the link below this video, leave us some questions or comments below, and click that like button, and we will see you guys next week. Have an awesome day, guys.